Lu Jingyan actually loved my elder sister. Marrying me was just his second choice, because I have a face that closely resembles my sister's. Later, my sister and I were in a car accident together, and he chose to save my sister first. When I was on the verge of death, it was Yan Fei, my sworn enemy, who accompanied me. After being reborn, I firmly decided to break off the engagement. I returned to the alley in my memory. The familiar young man smiled and teased me. Miss you. Why have you honored us with your presence today? Do you want to eat wontons again? No, I came to find you, Yan Fei. I was reborn the day after Lu Jingyan came to propose marriage. Nan, your brother Jingyan came to propose marriage yesterday. You happen to like him, and if you agree, your father and I will give him an answer. My parents were discussing my sister's marriage to brother Jiang, and the topic suddenly shifted to me. What? I was still immersed in the grief of my death in the previous life and was stunned for a long time. Look, our little girl here is so happy that she's gone silly. My sister was also happy for me and took my arm. Jingyan told me that as long as you're willing to marry him, he'll marry you right away. Your love for him has finally come to fruition. Nan, are you happy, really? I forced a smile. Lu Jingyan's feelings for my sister were well hidden. So much so that he never revealed them in front of her, and no one around us ever noticed. Even I thought that he was nice to me, caring and considerate because he liked me. I never imagined that I was benefiting from my sister and I looked 8 points alike, and he completely regarded me as a substitute for my sister. In the previous life, as soon as my sister's marriage was settled, Lu Jingyan came to propose to me. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep and was looking forward to getting married happily, until on the wedding night, the drunk Lu Jingyan held me in his arms, looked at my face affectionately, and then called out my sister's name. Every word was sincere and earnest. He said that the person he loved was Yu Xian, not me. He said that since he couldn't be with Yu Xian, he would marry her younger sister and continue to be her family and protect her. At that moment, I suddenly realized. Lu Jingyan didn't love me at all. He couldn't have my sister, and he married me because of my similar face to hers. I don't want to marry him. The previously lively atmosphere suddenly froze, and everyone turned their eyes to me. My mother took my hand, looking very puzzled. Nan, why? My eyes were determined. I glanced at my confused sister and then at my expectant parents, and said, I have someone I like. His name is Yan Fei. I will only marry him and will never marry Lu Jingyan. I let go of my mother's hand and ran out of the house. I came to an alley. It was exactly the same as in my memory. The wonton shop, one more bowl at the corner, was still there. The camphor tree in front of the door remained as it was. I carefully peeked into the shop. Mom, I told you to prepare 2 servings of seasonings. Not everyone likes coriander. You brat, have you grown bold because you've made some money? You're lecturing me now. You're in your 20s and haven't brought home a daughter-in-law yet. Get out of the way. Mom, your son is single and rich, and there are plenty of girls who like me. You don't need to worry about it. You're bragging without even thinking. That little girl who came to eat wontons in high school was so nice. It's all because of your arrogance that you drove her away. If it weren't for your mother, I wouldn't bother with you. I'm going to restock. You take good care of the shop, got it? Be careful on the way. Mother Yan rode a tricycle to restock, and Yan Fei's casual voice echoed for a long time. When I was overwhelmed by fear and despair, and when I was pinned down by the broken car body, it was this voice that woke me up from the brink of death. Yu Yan, if you die, I'll tell the whole world about the time you secretly sneaked into the boys' bathhouse to watch me take a shower. The king of hell will think you're lecherous and won't let you be reincarnated. You're talking nonsense. That was an accident. Then I'll tell everyone about the time you secretly spilled ink on me when we were at school and ruin your reputation. Yan Fei, why are you so petty? I'm just a petty person. Yu Yan, I'm telling you. Hold on. The ambulance will be here soon. The tone and intonation hadn't changed at all. I stood under the tree at the door, so engrossed in listening that I didn't even know when he noticed me. Yu Yan, it really is you. Yan Fei stood at the door, looking at me with a leisurely expression. Miss Yu, why do you have the time to come to my small shop today? I'm hungry. Is that not allowed? Sure, Miss Yu, please come in. He was as annoying as ever, using the words Miss Yu to tease me. I almost forgot that Yan Fei was still the same Yan Fei from before, and he hadn't been reborn. Are you really here to eat wontons? There are much more delicious delicacies outside than what I have here. Have you changed your taste? Why are you talking so much? I want to eat the most expensive shrimp wontons in golden soup. Hurry up and make them for me. A young lady can't wait. Still 3 bowls. 3 bowls was a shared secret between him and me. The first time I ate the wontons he made was in the second year of high school. I had a fight with my family, was in a bad mood and skipped class, then it rained heavily, and I got soaked to the bone. It was Yen Fai who found me and took me in at his family's wonton shop. My stomach was growling, and while he was teasing me, he made me hot wontons to eat despite his words. I ate 3 bowls in one go. He clearly wanted to expose my past. I snorted, 1 bowl, fine, miss you, just wait. Yen Fai is a nice guy in every way, except that he has a sharp tongue and can be really annoying. When I first developed feelings, we were in the same class and were desk mates for 3 years. Because he could cook, was good at sports, and was good at handling interpersonal relationships, my admiration for him turned into love, and I even had the courage to write him a love letter. However, my attempt at confessing love ended halfway. Just after I finished writing the letter, I heard his conversation with his friends. Brother Yi, your deskmate Yu Yen not only has good grades but also looks good. After being deskmates with her for so long, don't you like her? Do you really not like her? I heard from Yu Yan's friends that she has a crush on you. Why are you guys so nosy? I don't like a girl like Yu Yan, she's too thin and weak, she'll fall over at the slightest breeze. She's also lachrymose and delicate and can't be easily coaxed. I like bright and beautiful girls with a good figure. I rushed in and scolded him for being shallow, lecherous, and having no taste. Then, in a fit of anger, I crumpled up the love letter and threw it into the trash can in front of him. Who likes you? I don't want to like you at all. We had a falling out. To be precise, I unilaterally broke off our relationship. After that, he shone brightly at the sports meeting, had excellent grades, and more girls in the school liked him, most of whom were the type he said he liked. I stopped paying attention to him, didn't talk to him, and our relationship became more and more strained. He gradually became my sworn enemy, and we would always have sharp arguments whenever we met. Until I met Lu Jingyan, I was attracted by his mature demeanor and slowly forgot about Yen Fai. My heart then revolved around Lu Jingyan. While Yen Fai was studying, he also started his own business and gradually faded out of my world. In the previous life, after Lu Jingyan proposed marriage, there was a high school alumni gathering. Yen Fai had matured and become quieter. I almost didn't recognize him. Rarely, we sat down and had a calm conversation. I heard you're getting married. Yes. Does he treat you well? Yes. I wish you happiness. Thank you. Later, I found out that he got dead drunk in the private room that night and cried all night long. It was only then that I learned that he had been single all these years and had a clean romantic history. I was deceived by him again. On the day of the wedding, I received a congratulatory gift from him, a National Universal Free Food Card. It could be used in all his food chain stores, with no time limit, no price limit, and no limit on the number of people. He not only fulfilled a casual joke from high school but also took it seriously. After getting married, I only met him a few times at events, and by then, his business had reached new heights. He became the well-known young Master Yen, and his career was booming. At that time, I only had Lu Jingyan in my eyes and didn't notice that every time he looked at me, there was always a hint of sadness in his eyes. Miss you? Are you starving? You're almost staring a hole through my table. Yen Fai waved his hand in front of me and brought up a bowl of hot wontons. The wontons were filled with plump fillings, and the delicious soup had seaweed floating in it, along with shreds of egg rolls. Don't worry. I only put a little vinegar in it. There's no coriander. And I didn't put any scallions either. I was surprised. How did you know I don't eat those? After being married to Lu Jingyan for 2 years, he had never paid attention to such details. I stared at him as if I wanted to tear off his mask of pretense and expose his most sincere heart. Yen Fai, who was always sharp-tongued, suddenly didn't know what to say and stammered, well, after being classmates for several years, everyone knows about your picky eating habits. It's not a secret. But you've remembered my dietary restrictions until now. Do you remember everyone so clearly? I looked at him steadily, with a certainty in my words that I had never had before. At first, Yen Fai was calm and composed, but after being stared at by me for over a minute, he gradually felt guilty and unconsciously touched his nose. No, among the people around me, you're the only one who's against coriander. Naturally, I have a deep impression of it. Ha ha ha, just eat quickly. It won't be fragrant when it gets cold. He rubbed the back of his head and tried to dodge the topic, but he didn't dare to look at me. I tasted the wontons he made one bite at a time, and the taste was the same as in my memory. Yen Fai stared at the empty bowl in disbelief. Miss you, An ordinary person really can't afford to feed your appetite. You're not an ordinary person, though. Why am I not? At that time, I was too busy eating to pay attention to his answer. And I didn't notice the self-deprecation in his words. The pain of the car fragments piercing into my lungs made my consciousness fade. The voice I heard wasn't Lu Jingyan's but that of my sworn enemy, Yan Fai. Are you blind? Can't you see there's still someone under the car? You're lying. He clearly treats you badly. Only you're so silly that you're completely devoted to him. Yu Yan, I really regret it. I regret pushing you away. I'm worthy of you now, but I'm about to lose you forever. Yu Yan, wake up. This joke isn't funny. Get up and scold me again. I like it when you argue with me. Don't be so quiet. Okay, Yu Yan, hold on. I'll carry you to the hospital. Thinking of his confessions and regrets before I died, my nose twitched, and tears fell into the soup. After I died, my soul lingered beside him for a long time. On the day I was buried in the cemetery, Lu Jingyan stood in the family member's position, and he cried bitterly. He looked like he had lost his beloved. But I knew the truth. If Lu Jingyan had been a little more attentive to me, it wouldn't have ended like this. Lu Jingyan was like a mirror, reflecting through my face how failed and ironic this marriage of mine was, and Yan Fai, who had witnessed my death with his own eyes, could only stand silently in the distance because he didn't have an appropriate identity. After the ceremony ended and my family had all left, he came to my grave holding a bouquet of white hyacinths. Miss you. I've come to see you. White hyacinths symbolize unspoken love. I sat beside him and counted the small flowers one by one. There were exactly 520 of them. I don't know why, but when I heard him call me Miss You again, I always felt like crying. No one else would call me that anymore. My eyes were filled with tears, and Yan Fai's warm tears fell on my palm. Don't be afraid, I won't tell all your embarrassing things. Those are secrets that only I know. How could I bear to let others know? You must be happy in the other world, show your air of a young lady, scold when you need to, and be unrestrained when you need to. Never chagrin yourself. Yu Yan, I shouldn't have been so cowardly. I should have hugged you tightly and confessed my love to you when I knew you liked me, and let the whole world know that I liked you. Would our ending have been different then? There were dark circles under his eyes, his face was haggard, and his eyes were full of bloodshot. Is it true? You liked me too. I felt so that I wanted to touch him, but my hand passed through his body. The sky was crying, and it started to rain heavily. I told him to go back quickly, but he didn't move. I forgot that we were separated by life and death, and he couldn't hear me. In the cemetery shrouded in sadness, only the white hyacinths swayed poignantly in the rain. Yan Fai didn't dislike me. On the contrary, he loved me deeply, but his family background was ordinary. His father died early, and they owed a lot of debt. It was his mother who ran the wonton shop alone to raise him. During his growth, he encountered a lot of cold looks and basically cut off contact with his relatives around him. He could fight for others to earn money to support the family, and as a result, he was left with many injuries. He could also ride a special tricycle with his mother to sell wontons around the suburban areas as early as 4 or 5 in the morning to promote the wontons. Yan Fai once said that all he had was his mother and a not-so-big wonton shop. The young man's self-esteem reached its peak at this moment. With the huge gap in their backgrounds, his feelings stopped there. So he acted carelessly in front of me to disguise his true self and successfully made himself someone I hated. Do you have something on your mind? Yan Fai saw that I was in a bad mood. Lu Jingyan came to propose marriage to my father. Yan Fai's hand that was passing me a tissue froze, and his hand hung in the air. He knew Lu Jingyan. Is that so? Then you should be happy. To be honest, you two are quite a good match. I didn't expect you to get married so soon. I won't go and join in the fun then, in case you get annoyed seeing me. He rubbed his hands, looking very flustered, and was trying his best to hide the trembling of his lips. I saw it all. My heart clenched. Yan Fai, I don't want to marry him. In his puzzled eyes, I put down my chopsticks. Slowly, I said, Yan Fai, would you be willing to marry me? When I got home, there was someone I didn't like sitting on the sofa. Lu Jingyan was as high-spirited as in my memory, and his peach blossom eyes looked affectionate at everyone. It was the first time I saw him after being reborn, and there were too many emotions in my heart. What are you doing here? My parents have already relayed what I wanted to say to you. He seemed unable to detect the impatience in my words. Nan, why did you suddenly change your mind? Did I do something wrong? If I did anything inappropriate, I apologize. I just don't like you. There's no other reason. Let go. Nan. Do you not want to get married so soon? It's okay, I can wait for you. Do you really want to marry me? I asked. Of course, I really want to build a family with you. There was not a hint of hesitation. Lu Jingyan, with such a firm tone, are you really speaking to me? Or are you looking at my sister, who is destined to be out of your reach? Through my face, I sneered sarcastically. Lu Jingyan, the person you truly like isn't married yet. If you're not willing to give up, just confess your love to her directly. At the mention of my sister, Lu Jingyan's expression visibly changed. With his long, hidden secret exposed, he instinctively looked at Yu Xian. My sister didn't know his feelings and thought he was signaling her to persuade me. Nan, talk things through with Jingyan. Don't ruin your relationship. Sister, when are you and brother-in-law going to try on wedding dresses? My sister was distracted by my question. Tomorrow. Your brother-in-law has already made arrangements. He'll accompany me the whole day tomorrow. When mentioning the person she liked, my sister's eyes sparkled. As she spoke, she took out her phone and sent a message to her fiancé. I deliberately provoked Lu Jingyan. Sure enough, at the mention of my brother-in-law, a trace of pain flashed in Lu Jingyan's eyes. His face turned extremely pale. The affection he had shown me earlier shattered instantly, after learning the truth. Every little detail became glaringly obvious. Lu Jingyan and my sister had been friends for many years and also had some professional interactions. I was 3 years younger than them and met him later. I used to follow him around, calling him Brother Jingyan. Although I got to know him later, Lu Jingyan was more considerate and attentive to me than to my sister. I was deceived by his feigned favoritism. In fact, every time he looked at me, he was really looking at my sister, whom he couldn't have. My gaze was too intense, and finally, Lu Jingyan came back to his senses. Nan, you. Lu Jingyan seemed not to believe it, hesitated, and then said, what do you mean? Even now, he's still pretending with me. I scoffed. You know exactly what I mean. You don't like me at all. You've just been acting. I, Yu Yan, am just Yu Yan, not a substitute for anyone. And definitely not the second best choice when you can't have the one you love. Lu Jingyan, you're not only a scumbag but also a coward. Don't call me Nan anymore. You're not worthy. I drove Lu Jingyan away. Before he left, he vowed, there are some misunderstandings between us. We just need some time. I'll come to see you again in a few days. Go cool off somewhere else. I closed the door myself. Nan, my parents, who had been hiding in the house and eavesdropping, opened the door at this moment. I poured each of them a glass of water. They looked at each other and smiled awkwardly at me. Nan, what's going on now? Your parents don't quite understand. Mom, Dad, Lu Jingyan doesn't really want to marry me. He likes someone else and is just using me as a substitute for that person. There's no way for me and him in this lifetime. You know my personality, so please don't try to persuade me anymore. I closed the door of my bedroom and heard their discussions downstairs. From what your sister said, Lu Jingyan has feelings for someone else, not your sister. I'll ask around later. If what Nan said is true, I won't allow Lu Jingyan to get close to your sister. Nan has always been a thoughtful person since she was a child. I believe she didn't make this decision without reason. By the way, Mom and Dad, I'll go and find out about Yanfei first. A boy she likes suddenly showed up, and I'm afraid Nan might be deceived. Xianer, remember, other things don't matter. You must thoroughly investigate that boy's character and past experiences. Their voices grew fainter and fainter. Lying on the bed, I recalled the way Yanfei stood there, stunned with his chin dropped. Are you going to agree or not? You've thought about it for so long, you should give me an answer. Yanfei smiled casually. You're not drunk today, so why are you talking nonsense? Miss, this joke isn't funny, come up with another one. His expression darkened. He bent down to clear the dishes and then turned around and went to the back kitchen to wash them. I chased after him in my high-heeled sandals. I'm not joking. Yanfei, would you marry me? If you're willing, I'll marry you. All the dishes in his hand slipped to the floor with a clatter. Yanfei stammered and couldn't say a word. I'm an impatient person, so I directly hooked my arms around his neck and kissed him on the lips. I'll take that as a yes. As evening approached, I touched my lips. It seemed that his soft touch was still there, making them tingle faintly. That impulsive kiss made my heart flutter, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. Because Mother Yan came back early, I didn't get an answer from Yanfei. I poked at his black and white profile picture. I wonder what that blockhead is doing now. Yanfei, are you asleep? A kitten peeking JPG. "Miss, speak properly," you replied instantly. "The phone just happened to be in my hand, such etc. You were waiting for my message. I'm extremely confident. Have you thought about it?" Your answer: "He was typing for a long time. Yu Yan, I have a work call, I'll talk to you later." I couldn't tell if he was avoiding me. "Oh, then you go ahead and get busy." As a result, he didn't reply to me for 2 days. What kind of phone call lasts 2 days? He's definitely avoiding me. I came to the wonton shop again in my small leather shoes. Mother Yen was wiping the tables. I said sweetly, "Auntie, I'm here to see Yen Fai." "Is he here? Aren't you Xiao Yen, that high school classmate of Xiao Yi who could eat 3 bowls of wontons at once? I haven't seen you for a long time. Have you made up with Xiao Yi?" Embarrassing. I didn't expect Auntie to remember me because of that. "Yes, Auntie. Long time no see. You look much younger than before. You're such a sweet talker, dear. I'm getting old. By the way, did you come to see Xiao Yi for something important?" I walked up to Auntie shyly. "Auntie, I wanted to ask, has Yen Fai ever mentioned me to you over the years?" "Of course, Xiao Yi often tells me stories about when you were deskmates in high school. Actually, I should thank you. After meeting you, Xiao Yi's hot-tempered personality has changed a lot. He's become much more gentle in his words and actions." Was it because of me? At first, Yen Fai was unruly. He got into fights outside school, didn't get along with his classmates, and looked extremely world-weary. Everyone seemed like trash in his eyes. When I first became his deskmate, to be honest, I was scared of him. He was not only extremely quiet but also had a scar on his eyebrow bone. By chance, I saw his tender and kind side beneath his unruly appearance. When everyone went to PE class, I asked for leave because of severe period pain. I lay on the desk feeling miserable, cursing everything and wishing I could lash out at the whole world. It was Yen Fai who poured me the hot water I needed most and bought me a heat pack. "Here, hold this." He warmed it up in his hands before giving it to me. "Weren't you going to PE class? I don't think I told you I needed these." "How did you?" "It's obvious just by looking at you." I accepted his kindness. "Thank you." He nodded and left but then came back. He seemed a bit embarrassed. "Dragon fruit is a cold-natured fruit. You'd better not overindulge next time." Wasn't he sleeping when I was secretly eating the dragon fruit? Got it. His tone was natural yet authoritative. I was like a child caught doing something wrong by a parent, obedient and timid. Got it. Okay. Yen Fai smiled in satisfaction, slung his bag over his shoulder, and leisurely went to PE class. Somehow, my eyes followed him all the way, until I saw Yen Fai running alone on the track. The class bell had already rung long ago. He was being punished for being late. During the last class in the evening, with the setting sun in the background, the image of Yen Fai running on the playground was deeply engraved in my mind. The thermos in my hand continuously emitted warmth. I knew this was the beginning of the thaw in our relationship. "Xiao Yi is in the back kitchen. I'll go and call him." "No need, Auntie. I'll go find him myself." I skipped towards the back kitchen, not even realizing why my steps were so light. Yen Fai was washing dishes. Although his career was already on the right track, he had never forgotten his roots. Whenever he was free, he would help Auntie run this not-so-big wonton shop, personally doing everything from rolling out the wonton wrappers, preparing the fillings, to wiping the tables and washing the dishes. Thanks to this, the One More Bowl wonton shop had always done good business and was one of the few stores in the alley that had persisted for decades. He was extremely focused when working. Watching his smooth dish-washing movements was like watching a graceful water-playing performance. I stared at him the whole time, even forgetting why I had come. "Yen Fai, you're so handsome." I'm mesmerized. Unlike his reserved nature, I'm a very straightforward person and say whatever's on my mind. He was clearly taken aback. He probably didn't expect me to show up and quickly took off his cleaning gloves and untied his apron. "It's dirty here. You go out first." I was pushed out. There was a pond of lotus flowers in the backyard. No wonder I smelled a faint fragrance of lotus when I came in. "Are you hungry again?" After thinking for a while, he came to this conclusion. "I'm not hungry." "Then what are you here for?" "I came to see you. You've seen me. Now you can leave." His sudden change of attitude caught me off guard. "Have you thought about what I said last time?" I moved closer and looked into his eyes. He instinctively stepped back to keep a distance from me and remained silent. I guessed he hadn't taken it seriously at all. "I really want to marry you. I'm not joking. I'm a straightforward person, not like Yen Fai, who beats around the bush." "Yu Yen, I know it was just an impulsive act on your part that day." He was referring to the kiss. "It wasn't a joke. And you responded at that time. It was just a reflex, it doesn't count. Not only was he making excuses, but he also dared not look at me. I was so angry that I laughed. Then how do you explain holding my waist? You were losing your balance. It was just an illusion. He was still making excuses. Yan-Fi, do you really not have feelings for me? Miss, if you have nothing else, I'll get back to work. He evaded the question. He started using miss to provoke me again. He really knows me well because I was already getting a bit annoyed. Fine, I see, I won't force you. I pretended to be angry. Since you're not willing, I won't force you. I'll just go back and marry Lu Jingyan obediently. It's my fate to be unhappy for the rest of my life. Before Yan-Fi could reply, I left the shop. Even now, despite his achievements, he still thinks it's impossible for us to be together. He lacks the courage. If I don't take the initiative, with his personality, he would never take that step. I hid behind the camphor tree and counted the time. Instead of waiting for Yan-Fi, I saw Lu Jingyan getting out of a Land Rover. He never came to this kind of alley on normal days. Are you following me? I sneered. You Xian told me that the person you like is here. I came to see what kind of person made you reject my proposal. Clearly, you liked me before. Why did you suddenly change your mind? Without his gentle facade, his paranoid and terrifying true nature was revealed. I really have no idea what's going on in his head. He loves my sister but insists on marrying me. Disgusting and despicable. There's no one else here, so stop playing dumb with me. Lu Jingyan, ask yourself, why do you insist on marrying me? Isn't it because I look like someone else? Nan, what are you talking about? I don't understand. A trace of fear flashed across his face. He was guilty. Lu Jingyan, if you push me any further, I'll expose everything, and no one will come out of this unscathed. There's a misunderstanding between us. Come on, let's talk it through. I don't know where Lu Jingyan learned his annoying persistence from. He forcefully pulled me towards his car. How did I not realize how crazy this guy was in my past life? Lu Jingyan, let me go. I'm going to tell my sister. Let me go. Yu Yan, Lu Jingyan, let go of Yu Yan. Yan-Fi chased after us. He still cared. I took the opportunity to hit Lu Jingyan and ran towards Yan-Fi. Yan-Fi, he's bullying me. I hid behind him, looking pitiful and on the verge of tears, clutching the hem of his clothes. Yan-Fi's attitude clearly softened. He gently patted my shoulder and comforted me. Don't be afraid. Then he shielded me completely with his tall figure. Yu Yan, what made you change so much overnight? You used to call me Brother Jingyan. Is it because of him? I don't need a reason to dislike you. Anyway, I won't marry you. Yan-Fi knows me better than you and likes me more than you do. He's the one I want to marry. Yu Yan, if you're with this poor guy, are you planning to sell wontons with him for the rest of your life? Do you think your parents will agree to you being together? Is he really worthy of you? Lu Jingyan's words were full of disdain as he mocked Yan-Fi. Yan-Fi's face remained calm, but his jaw was tightly clenched. He was suppressing his emotions. I placed my hand on his and stood on tiptoe to kiss him, right in front of Lu Jingyan. This time, Yan-Fi didn't just stand there stiffly, he actively responded. Our eyes met. I want to be with him, my heart is set, and it won't change. Lu Jingyan left in a huff. I turned around and met Yan-Fi's bright eyes. My heart skipped a beat. And I pursed my lips. Yan-Fi, I didn't have enough of that kiss. I want another one. I tried again, but Yan-Fi held me back. Such a stingy person. We went back to the backyard. Yan-Fi went back to being the Yan-Fi who didn't want to pay me much attention at first. I knew he cared about Lu Jingyan's words. Anticipating his move, I blocked his way as he tried to escape. Don't tell me that was just a reflex again. After a long while, he asked, you clearly liked Lu Jingyan before. Why did you suddenly act like this towards me? If you're doing this to spite him, there's really no need to use me as a shield. I'm not persuasive at all. I know you like me, and I can understand the choices you made before, but I want to tell you that I, Yu Yan, never cared about a man's background. All I care about is the person himself. My parents are very open-minded, they will respect my choices, and since you're so great, they will like you too. With nowhere else to retreat, he was cornered by me. Moreover, Yan-Fi, you're not inferior at all, at least in my eyes. You're better than anyone else. Upon hearing this, a glimmer of light flashed in Yan-Fi's eyes, but it disappeared quickly. He still didn't believe me. Well, with such a sudden change in my attitude, anyone would be skeptical. If you don't believe me, I can prove it. For example, marry me and be my legal husband. He turned his face away. I reflected for 3 seconds. Was my request a bit too overbearing? Yan Fai's voice was as soft as a mosquito's hum. Let me think about it. Okay, I'll wait for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau this afternoon. This afternoon is not possible. Give me 3 more days. Right, I was being too hasty. It made me seem less reserved. 3 days it is. Remember to put in a good word for me in front of our mom. I can't eat 3 bowls anymore. I have a small appetite and am easy to support. We're not, pretending not to hear, I said. Bye, brother Yi. After seeing the shy expression I expected on Yan Fai's face, I left the wonton shop, happily swinging my bag. You look so happy. Did something good happen? As soon as I got home, my sister noticed something different about me. Sister, if nothing unexpected happens, I'll get my marriage certificate before you do. Xin almost spat out the water she was drinking at me. Cough, cough. Are you serious? Are you really going to have a flash marriage with that Yan Fai? How long have you been together? Sister, when have I ever joked with you? When you meet the right person, you can't wait to get married. Only I know how great Yan Fai is. Based on what I know about them, they must have privately investigated Yan Fai's character and background the last time I expressed my feelings. Our family had an agreement before that we wouldn't interfere too much in the children's love lives. On the morning of the 3rd day, I got up before dawn and waited for news with my phone in hand. To be honest, I was quite nervous. What if he still didn't want to? In this life, I really don't want to miss out on Yan Fai again. I'll wait for you at the west gate of the alley. When I received the message, I sprang up from the bed like a carp and made a voice call. I'll be there right away. Don't run away. Got it. Wait for me. The other end replied sweetly. I won't leave. I'll wait for you. Don't rush. I quickly put on some light makeup and ran downstairs with a beaming face. Nan, where are you in such a hurry? Mom and Dad, I'm going to get my marriage certificate. You can have lunch first. What do you mean by eating the certificate? Ugh, I mean getting the marriage certificate. Your daughter is going to get married. I've always been a hasty person. Moreover, I had already informed my sister in advance. With her around, there was nothing to worry about at home. Yan Fai dressed up specially today. Instead of his usual side-parted hairstyle, he showed his smooth forehead and styled his hair. Coincidentally, we were both wearing black and white couple outfits. Standing together, we looked perfect, like a match made in heaven. Yan Fai hesitated while holding his household registration book. Yan, do you want to think again? Marriage is a big deal and can't be taken lightly. There are many men around you who have better conditions than me. I still hope. Don't you like me? I stepped closer. That was the only question I asked from start to finish because I knew it was the most effective way to deal with him. At this crucial moment, he was still being coy. I'm so frustrated that I can't turn him into a better person. Yan Fai, as long as you say you don't like me, I'll cancel the appointment right away. As long as you say you hate me, I definitely won't force you. After 10 seconds. He put the household registration book in his pocket, as if making a major decision. He let out a deep sigh. Let's go. There will be a long queue if there are many people. I immediately jumped up and ruffled his hair, looking at him with affection. Okay, hubby. Instantly, his ears turned slightly red. You can't call me that yet. Wait until later. Got it, hubby. Afraid that I would notice. Yan Fai covered his burning ears, trying to hide them. How could I have never noticed that the cool schoolboy Yan Fai had such a cute and innocent side in private? It was like discovering a new world. There weren't many people at the Civil Affairs Bureau, and we completed the procedures quickly. The heart that had been hanging in mid-air finally settled down. This time, I don't want to miss him again, nor do I want him to live a lonely life filled with regret and longing. I want us to love each other, be affectionate as a couple, and grow old together. Yan Fai stared blankly at the marriage certificate, looking at it over and over again, admiring it with a smile that he couldn't hold back. Seeing his silly look, I couldn't help but laugh too, to prevent you from having other thoughts. I'll keep the certificate. Let's go help you move first. The day I went to see him, I had already found a wedding house. Isn't this a bit too fast? Yan Fai, are you serious? Do you want to live separately from me on the first day of our marriage? No, that's not what I meant. Sure enough, love makes people stutter. I laughed heartily and teased him by scratching his chin. I knew you couldn't bear to be apart from me. No, it's about being reserved. Yan Fai, who always had the upper hand in front of me, was now blushing and stammering. After getting the certificate, I posted a photo of the marriage certificate on my Moments and also sent it separately in the family group. Dad, Mom, Sister, I know you've all secretly looked into him. Since you didn't talk to me privately, it means you have no objections to him. I liked him back in high school. Over time, his place in my heart has become more and more important. I only want to marry him. He's really great, and I don't want to miss him again. Dad, you're grown up now, with your own thoughts and judgment. As parents, we respect and support you. Mom, marriage is your own choice, and you have to walk your own path. No matter what decision you make, Mom will support you, as long as my baby is happy. Sister, Nan, the wedding gift I bought for you is on the way. Thank you all. I'm very touched. By the way, Dad, Mom, Sister, my husband is shy. I'll give him a heads up first and then add him to the group. I'll bring him home for dinner with you guys another day. Love you. In the end, Yen-Fi didn't move his luggage. Instead, I moved into the new house he bought by the river. The furniture and everything else were complete, clean, tidy, and brand new. The most crucial thing was that there were double happiness characters pasted on the door. Something was off, very off. When did you buy this house? He admitted obediently. 2 days ago. I suddenly understood and secretly rejoiced. Looks like I worried for nothing. Yu Yen, now you really can't go back on your word. Whoever goes back on their word is a pig, a Ukrainian roasted suckling pig. We looked at each other and smiled, standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, with the vast and beautiful river view and Yen-Fi by my side. I felt completely satisfied. At the end of the month, there was a disturbance caused by a customer in one of Yen-Fi's restaurants. It seemed quite serious. As the owner of the store, he had to fly to the neighboring city to solve the problem in person and also negotiate a cooperation deal. Since we still needed to buy some household items, I drove to the large shopping mall alone. When I was looking at men's clothing, I took a fancy to a tie. Just as I was about to pick it up and take a closer look, a pair of hands reached it first. It was Lu Jingyan again. Nan, what a coincidence. Good taste. He cheerfully greeted the salesperson and bought the tie. I must have left the house without checking the almanac. What bad luck. Why isn't that guy Yen-Fi with you? I didn't see eye to eye with him, so I turned around and left. Lu Jingyan chased after me, like a persistent ghost. If I hadn't seen his true nature in the previous life, I might have really thought he couldn't let go of me. Are you very idle? Why do you keep meddling in my business with Yen-Fi? Do you really think Yen-Fi is sincere towards you? You don't know this yet, but an old acquaintance of his has returned to the country, and they're busy rekindling their relationship. Lu Jingyan handed me a photo. The photo showed Yen-Fi and a woman coming out of a hotel and getting into the same car. Both of them were smiling, and the angle made the scene look quite ambiguous. I recognized the woman at a glance as Lin Xiaowu, a persistent admirer of Yen-Fi. Nan, a man and a woman in such a situation. Do I need to spell it out for you? You and he are from completely different worlds, not to mention that he would be sincere towards you. One day, you'll understand that only I'm a good match for you. Lu Jingyan, your face must be as thick as the Great Wall. You're still talking about sincerity. I took the photo from his hand and tore it into 2 halves. Lu Jingyan, just the fact that you secretly took someone else's photo and are so brazen about it shows that you're no match for Yen-Fi. In the future, don't bother about my affairs with Yen-Fi. Back in the car, the image from the photo kept flashing in my mind. Our last WeChat conversation ended with a good morning message. What are you doing? I regretted sending it as soon as I did. Yen-Fi wasn't that kind of person. He wouldn't do anything to betray me. I'm negotiating a cooperation deal. I also have a business dinner tonight, but, in the previous life, since high school, Lin Xiaowu had been chasing after Yen-Fi. She never hid her feelings for him. At that time, Yen-Fi and I had already fallen out, and I forced myself not to care. Yen-Fi and she grew up in the same alley, so they had known each other for a long time. Later, they even went to the same university, spending even more time together. Since I had withdrawn from Yen-Fi's world early on, I didn't know if they were still in touch. In this life, I took the initiative to enter his life and became his wife. However, through our time together, I could clearly feel that he kept a certain distance from me. Could it be that part of the reason was that Lin Xiaowu had come back, and they happened to meet in the neighboring city, rekindling their old feelings? After all, a hotel was a place that could easily lead to speculation. I couldn't sleep and was prone to overthinking. So I decided to go directly to Yen-Fi and get to the bottom of things. At 8 p.m., I landed in the neighboring city. As soon as I got out of the taxi, I saw the person I was looking for, a man and a woman. One was trying to back away, while the other was pressing forward. You're drunk. I'll call one of your colleagues to take you back. Brother Fi, don't you know that I've been waiting for you all these years? Why won't you give me a chance? You're single, and I'm single, we're such a good match, why won't you take a look at me? Lin Xiaowu leaned against Yan Fei, saying all sorts of flirtatious things. It was hard to tell if she was really drunk or not. I felt a rush of anger. What are you two doing? All over each other. I stormed over and pulled them apart. Lin Xiaowu's makeup was smudged, and she reeked of alcohol. It took her a long time to react when she looked at me. I know you. Your brother Fei's classmate. What a coincidence. Classmate, single, great. It turned out that Yan Fei hadn't even told her that he was married. My face darkened. I'm not his classmate, I'm his wife. Before I could finish, Lin Xiaowu suddenly vomited on me. I was stunned. I couldn't stand it when someone vomited in front of me. Immediately, I felt nauseous and started vomiting too. Yu Yan, are you okay? Yan Fei dropped Lin Xiaowu and rushed over to support me, still vomiting. I angrily pushed him away. I thought I was going to catch him in the act, but instead, I turned it into a farce. After settling Lin Xiaowu in the hotel, Yan Fei got me a new room. After throwing the dirty clothes into the laundry basket, he poured me a glass of warm water and asked, Yu Yan, did you come here specifically to see me? Humph, if I hadn't come, how would I have known you were being confessed to? Someone sent me photos of you and Lin Xiaowu going in and out of the hotel. I didn't want to deal with all that nonsense, so I came here to ask you for clarification. I gave him a look, and he understood immediately, starting to explain. There's nothing between me and Lin Xiaowu. She's the representative sent by the partner for this cooperation. She's not familiar with this neighboring city, since we're old acquaintances and have business to attend to. I gave her a ride to the hotel entrance that day. I took a sip of warm water and asked, do you like her? No. I rejected her back in college. I didn't know in advance that she was the representative sent by the other side. If I had known, I would have tried my best to avoid it. Yu Yan, you have to believe me. Yeah, I believe you. I really meant it. After seeing Yan Fei's attitude towards Lin Xiaowu with my own eyes, I was certain. There were no feelings beyond the boundary in his eyes when he looked at Lin Xiaowu. Thank you for believing me. He let out a sigh of relief. Yan Fei. Lin Xiaowu said you're single. Why didn't I know you were single? I asked him, my tone devoid of any emotion. Yan Fei, do you think I'm not presentable? Or do you think there's no need to tell others? No, he interrupted eagerly. I thought that if, by any chance, we didn't make it in the end, it wouldn't have too much of an impact on your reputation. His voice trailed off towards the end. I looked at him steadily. Feeling both disappointed and disheartened, he looked scared. Wanting to say something but holding back, Yan Fei, on the day we got our marriage certificate, I couldn't wait to tell everyone. I told you that I really want to build a family with you, but you didn't have any hope for our marriage at all. If that's the case, why did you agree to marry me in the first place? It's not like that. Yu Yan, let me explain. No matter how full of guilt his tone was, I chased him out and didn't reply to any of the messages he sent me. Don't come to me until you've thought it through. After staying in the neighboring city for a few days, Yan Fei waited at my door every day with a bouquet of white hyacinths to apologize to me. Seeing those clusters of flowers, I would think of the scene in front of the tomb. It was poignant and sad. The person didn't stay, but the flowers did. I put each bouquet in a vase. In fact, the anger in my heart had long since dissipated. But Yan Fei still hadn't grasped the crux of the problem in our argument. Yan Fei always thoughtfully arranged my favorite food for me. When I was eating pasta, Lin Xiaowu found her way to the hall. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. Why do you still have to reject me? What's wrong with me? She was asking Yan Fei, but her eyes were sweeping over me. Yan Fei took the initiative to pull me into his arms and introduced, Lin Xiaowu. I'm already married. Yu Yan is my wife. And she's the best in my eyes. I looked up and accidentally met his gaze. His eyes were cautious, and I felt uncomfortable seeing that. Perhaps I had pushed him too hard. How could his thoughts be completely changed overnight? Didn't you say in high school that you didn't like girls like her? Why did you suddenly marry her? I was also curious about how Yan Fei would answer. This time, he didn't evade the question. I was lying. I've always liked Yu Yan, and it has never changed. You know that my situation wasn't good back then. I felt inferior, self-conscious, and sensitive, so I was a coward. You once asked me why I didn't accept you or anyone else all these years. It's because there's only Yu Yan in my heart. Yan Fei looked at me earnestly and said, Yu Yan, I will eliminate all thoughts that are unfavorable to our marriage in the future. I should have confidence in myself and in our marriage. Please don't be angry with me anymore, okay? I thought I would have to wait a long time to hear these words from him. Seeing that he was about to cry, I reached out and patted his head. Okay, let's work hard together. I showed a heartfelt smile, and he took the initiative to hold my hand. In the evening, Yan-Fai moved his luggage into my suite. He said with conviction, a newly married couple shouldn't live separately. He washed up and lay on the bed waiting for me. I still remember that on the first night after we got the marriage certificate, someone insisted on sleeping with a clear boundary between us. The pajamas were thin, and he was very close. His body was as hot as a stove, and I could even hear his thumping heartbeat. My breathing became slightly rapid. Yu Yan, I still want to ask, why me? His voice was hoarse. Why did I choose him among so many men? The self-doubt in his tone overflowed again. Years of thinking couldn't be changed overnight. I held his cheeks and said seriously, because you're worthy. In the later part of the previous life, Yan-Fai was so heartbroken that he grew white hair, as if he had aged 10 years overnight. He never married for the rest of his life, guarding the scattered memories of me. My cemetery was the place he visited most often. My soul stayed by his side until the last moment of his life, when he was old and frail. He flipped through the love letter that I had thrown into the trash can over and over again. Even though the words had long faded and the paper had turned yellow, he still carefully folded it and put it in the pocket of his chest, then closed his eyes contentedly. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but shed tears. Yan-Fai's expression softened, and he reached out to wipe away my tears. Am I really worthy? You're more worthy than anyone else. The hand around my waist tightened even more. Yu Yan, everything seems like a dream. I'm afraid that if I'm too happy, the dream will wake up. I'm happy to marry you. The night you came to me, I couldn't sleep all night. My mind was full of your face. Yu Yan, I will work even harder to provide you with better living conditions than now. I won't let you down. His promise was sincere and simple. And it made me feel heartache. It's not a dream. If you don't believe me, touch me. He rubbed his cheek against mine. His slightly rough palm passed over the corner of my clothes and gradually moved up, resting on my skin. I felt a shudder. I wanted to say something, but I didn't have the strength to open my mouth. Under the peaking of the moon, we secretly did something naughty. After clearing up the misunderstanding, Yan-Fai and I gradually began to act like a married couple. It was the first time for both of us to enter marriage, and we were both learning how to manage it. I was glad that I went to the neighboring city and that I got rid of the potential hidden danger early. The sound of water in the bathroom stopped. Little Ewer, bring me a towel. I was taken aback by the subconscious address. I handed him the towel and probed. What did you just call me, little Ewer? He carefully observed my expression. If you don't like it, I won't call you that next time. A string in my mind snapped. I rushed forward and hugged him, who was still wet, almost affirmatively. When I failed the college entrance examination and stayed at home without going out, it was you who wrote me that encouraging letter, right? It's always been you, hasn't it? Seeing that he couldn't hide it anymore, Yan-Fai admitted it. When the results of the college entrance examination came out, I heard from my classmates that you didn't do well and hadn't spoken for several days. I was very worried. I know your character best. You tend to get stuck in your own thoughts and always take the blame. You must not have been able to forgive yourself for disappointing your family's expectations. So I wrote that letter and secretly put it in your family's mailbox. The encouraging letter that untied the knot in my heart, gave me the courage to repeat my senior year of high school, and completely made me give my heart to Lu Jingyan was written by Yan-Fai. It turned out that I had been wrong from the very beginning. By chance, I entered Lu Jingyan's study and saw an unopened love letter on the bookshelf. The cover said Little Ewer, and the handwriting was so similar. Plus, at that time, everyone said that he was different to me, so I didn't think otherwise and directly regarded Lu Jingyan as the person who secretly wrote me the letter. I threw myself into it without careful exploration and sank into it. In fact, that letter was for my sister. Uxian was his Little Ewer, and it had nothing to do with me. Yu Yan, that's why I was so sad and desperate later. My sister's marriage was happy and fulfilling, and I had never told her these things. I concealed it well, and even Lu Jingyan didn't find out that I already knew his secret. I didn't dare to question him because I was afraid that if the truth was revealed, it would bring trouble to my sister's marriage and ruin the sisterly bond we had since childhood. I could only hate Lu Jingyan, hate myself, and swallow all the grievances and bitterness. Now, I realized that I was wrong. I tightly hugged Yan-Fai's waist, leaving no gap between our two bodies. My soft sobs turned into loud crying under his comfort. Yan-Fai, I don't like this address. can you call me Nan Nan? I want you to call me that, okay, Nan Nan. Tears flowed out like a flood with the sluice gate opened and couldn't be controlled. You should have told me, you're always like this. Never saying your true feelings, why was I so stupid? I didn't even notice something so obvious. Woo-woo, good Nan Nan, stop crying, okay, if you cry any more, your eyes will be swollen, and you'll feel uncomfortable. Yen Fai, I want to sleep with you. That night, I pestered Yen Fai until the middle of the night. He didn't understand why but could only try his best to coax me. The more he indulged me, the more uncomfortable I felt. I sobbed, don't hide anything from me in the future. Okay, I promise you, Nan Nan. His gentle voice coaxing me was sweeter than the sweet spring water in the mountains. Nan Nan, no one has ever called me that as nicely as he does, and no one has ever fascinated me as much as he does. In bed, Yen Fai is my only warm haven. I clung to him like an octopus and said, can you not give me white hyacinths next time? It symbolizes silent love. Love is too bitter if it's not spoken out. I don't like that. It should be said out loud and let the other person know bravely. It's not right not to say it. Do you remember? I remember. It's not enough. He looked at me blankly, and then, as if inspired, he gently pecked at my collarbone. I promise next time. That's more like it. I shrank into his arms, wrapped in warmth, and gradually felt drowsy, but I clearly heard Yen Fai's murmured words. In the silent night, the warmth of his palm rubbed against my skin. I thought at that time that you already had someone you loved. If I appeared in front of you and explained that little letter, wouldn't it just add trouble to you? Just like the Little Mermaid, the prince had already fallen in love with the princess of a neighboring country. Even if the Little Mermaid told him that it was actually her who saved the prince might not fall in love with her. After thinking about it, it was better not to appear in front of you. Good night, my Nan Nan. A gentle kiss landed on my forehead as he spoke, like a feather brushing by. Epilogue. The day I brought Yen Fai home, my sister and brother-in-law were also there. When he met my parents for the first time, Yen Fai performed much better than I expected, and he even seemed at ease. I thought he was just pretending to be calm, so I comforted him. If you're nervous, just tell me, don't hold it in. I'm here, I'm not nervous. I had already visited your parents before we got the marriage certificate. I was stunned. Yen Fai stroked my head and explained to me, you have to know that you're the precious daughter they've doted on for more than 20 years. No matter how much they say they won't interfere in your love life and marriage, they will still be worried when you suddenly propose a flash marriage with a man, since I decided to get the marriage certificate with you. It was necessary for me to visit them as a courtesy, otherwise, it would be very impolite. No wonder my parents said those things in the group later. I really thought they were completely at ease. Yen Fai is always so thorough and careful. Unlike me, I can't think that much and just act rashly according to my own ideas. It seems that I like Yen Fai even more now. Why didn't you tell me before? You just need to be my carefree princess, and I'll take care of everything else. Well, it made me feel warm inside. I heard that the man will go through many difficulties when he visits the woman's home for the first time. Did they say anything unpleasant to make things difficult for you? Silly girl, I've already married you, haven't I? He lowered his head and smiled. His tone relaxed, and pride overflowed between his eyebrows. There must have been tests, but he had solved them. It's because you're excellent enough that my parents are at ease. Come on, tell me the details. No, it's a secret. I tried to persuade him for a long time but failed. Yen Fai was called to the kitchen by my father, who said he wanted to have a cook-off with him. I was worried, but my mother comforted me with a single sentence. Not just anyone can be called by your father to the kitchen for a cook-off. Don't worry, that's right. My father must be satisfied. I clung to my mother and acted coquettishly. You've had bad taste in aesthetics since you were a child, but your in choosing a partner is quite good. Xiao Yan is down-to-earth, hard-working, has a stable temperament, understands the ways of the world but isn't worldly, and handles things steadily. As for you, it's obvious that he's sincere towards you. He's more suitable for you than Jingyan. It seems that our Nan Nan is really lucky this time and has found the right husband. Mom, I'm not stupid. I tried my best to prove it, but no one believed me. My sister wasn't idle either. It looked like they had a little argument. Jiang Mingyan, look at our brother-in-law, and then look at you. You can only make tomato and egg drop soup, and there are eggshells in the soup. Don't you like my egg drop soup? The brother-in-law who was being criticized immediately understood what my sister meant and hugged her from behind, saying, I'll learn to make other dishes from our brother-in-law right away. Sure enough, my sister smiled and threw herself into his arms. it's so nice. I suddenly remembered that I hadn't heard any news about Lu Jingyan for some time and wondered if he had gone to find my sister again. Sister. Do you still have any contact with Lu Jingyan? I asked tentatively. Jingyan bumped his head some time ago and was hospitalized for several days. I went to see him, and he wasn't in a good condition. He should be recuperating at home now. Oh, I replied perfunctorily to show that I had heard it. Before you got married, I went to see him. I asked him if he was really sincere towards you, but he couldn't say anything for a long time. I gave him a good scolding, and I've had little contact with him since then. When the family was in the middle of the excitement, I received a strange text message. It was from Lu Jingyan. He said he was outside my house and was waiting for me to come out and meet him. I was snuggling in Yanfei's arms, and he saw the message too. His body stiffened. Why are you so nervous? You're my husband. Be more confident. It's not that. Your hair just slid down to my neck, and it was so itchy that it made me uncomfortable. What a coward. Yanfei held me and whispered. Go and talk to him. Aren't you worried about me talking to him alone? I'm your legal husband, and besides, the person you like now is me. Good, he's got some sense now. I scratched his chin and quickly gave him a kiss, saying, you worked hard cooking today. I'll reward you well when we get back. Okay. Lu Jingyan was sitting on a bench outside the yard. In such a short time, he had lost a lot of weight, and his face was very haggard. When he saw me appear, he almost rushed up to me. Nan, do you remember the things from the previous life? Lu Jingyan was reborn too. I stepped back. What are you talking about? Even though I didn't admit it, he was still convinced that I remembered. Nan, I've remembered everything. I've been having nightmares these 2 days, dreaming of the scene of you leaving. I regret it. Nan, please give me a chance to make it up to you. Okay, I'm married, Lu Jingyan. If you want to go crazy, go find someone else to go crazy with. I didn't show him any kindness and turned to leave. Lu Jingyan grabbed me. Nan, I really didn't see you under the car. If I had known, I would never have left you alone. I regret it so much. Regret missing you back then. I sneered. Really, why do I remember that my sister, despite her weak body, told you that Nan was still under the car and that she was more seriously injured, asking you to save me quickly? Let me ask you, did I hear it wrong? You said at that time, Xin? You're bleeding too much. I'll take you to the hospital first. You left and never came back. When I was on the verge of despair, it was Yanfei who found me. Lu Jingyan, you've always treated me as a substitute for my sister, always played tricks on me. Now, you still talk about making up for it. What exactly do you want to make up for? Do you want to drive me to death again? I was wrong. Only after you left did I realize that I had fallen in love with you over time. Nan. Can you forgive me? Lu Jingyan, who was begging me to forgive him, looked humble, embarrassed, and even a little crazy. You like Xin, you just wanted to use me to get close to her and satisfy your fantasies about her. You like my face because it resembles hers. Do you dare to take out all the love letters in your study, which you does the little fish you wrote in every word refer to? Tell me. You didn't dare to confess to my sister because you were afraid of ruining your decades-long friendship and that she would push you away, so you selfishly dragged me into the abyss. Lu Jingyan, you really disgust me. Nan, my thin sister stood at the door, her face pale, and the garbage bag in her hand fell to the ground. My sister, who usually loved to smile the most, was now crying and dared not look at me. Is what he said true? Her lips trembled, and her eyes were filled with shock. I still couldn't hide it. No, sis, you misheard. We didn't say anything just now. Xin, it's not like that. It's not. For a moment, both Lu Jingyan and I panicked. Lu Jingyan, what do you take us sisters for? What do you take Nan for? You're despicable. My sister was angry and shocked, pointing at Lu Jingyan, unable to speak properly. I couldn't comfort her and was so angry that I drove him away. Get out. Your leaving is the best compensation for me. I never want to see you again. It was Yanfei who arrived in time that prevented the situation from escalating. My sister locked herself in the room. I quietly took the key I had kept before and opened the door. My sister was sitting at the table, hugging the photo of her and me. Even her back looked so sad, telling of her disappointment and self-blame. Nan, I'm sorry. It's my fault for hurting you. I won't have any more contact with him. Can you forgive me, sis? I opened my arms and hugged my sister, who was even thinner than me. Sis, it's not your fault. I've never blamed you. Please don't blame yourself. Okay, we grew up together and were so close that we could share clothes and eat from the same lollipop. I really didn't know he had other feelings for me. I felt so sorry for my sister's self-blaming look. Sis, I've never blamed you. I have someone I truly like now and don't care about those irrelevant people. Be good, sis, don't cry. My sister's makeup was almost smudged. I helped her remove her makeup and wipe her face, just like I used to. Nan, you've known the truth for a long time but never said anything. Were you afraid that I'd be torn between you and Lu Jingyan? Were you afraid that since one was my friend of over 10 years and the other was my little sister who grew up with me, I'd be caught in the middle and feel torn? I'd be heartbroken no matter which one I lost. I acquiesced. I didn't want to see my sister in a dilemma. My sister held my hand and wiped my tears, just like when we were children. Nan, you should know that we are blood sisters, born of the same parents, and the closest people in the world. Even your brother-in-law comes after you in my heart. You will always be my top priority. When you cut your hand on paper when you were a child, I felt so. I never wanted you to be wronged in the slightest, but this time, it was me who brought you such great pain. I'm so sorry. My sister's words filled my heart with gratitude. I always knew my sister loved me, but I never imagined how important I was to her. Sis, don't take it to heart. It's all in the past. Look, I'm very happy with Yan-Fai now, aren't I? I showed a silly smile, and finally, she smiled too. She didn't react to the first part, but she nodded at the end. Now that the matter that had been weighing on my mind was finally out in the open, I felt much lighter. At least, I wouldn't be haunted by nightmares in the middle of the night anymore. My sister confronted Lu Jingyan the next day. She cut off all ties with him and ended their friendship completely. Nan, Lu Jingyan hurt you. I can't forgive anyone who does that. Besides, I have no romantic feelings for him. If our friendship crosses the line, then I don't need it anymore. My sister was more decisive and clear-headed than I expected. More importantly, she didn't want her husband to worry. It was inappropriate to have a man who had been secretly in love with her for a long time and almost became her brother-in-law by her side. The only person my sister had ever loved was Jiang Mingyan, her husband, and this fact had remained unchanged in both lifetimes. As for Lu Jingyan, he was never an option for my sister. It was Lu Jingyan alone who was consumed by his obsession and trapped himself in a cycle of paranoia. After that, I never saw Lu Jingyan again. Some said he went abroad, while others said he wasn't in a good mental state, quit his job, and his whereabouts were unknown. I woke up in the middle of the night and touched the side of the bed. It was warm, but there was no one there. Yan-Fai was sitting there, looking like a still sculpture. The faint light in the room shone on his back. I saw a love letter clenched in his hand, something I was all too familiar with. It was the one I had thrown away. He had been keeping it all this time. Why did he take it out at night? I quietly hugged him from behind. What are you thinking about? Nan. His voice was a little hoarse. I had a dream and couldn't sleep. I guessed it was related to the past. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken out something from the past. Can you tell me what you dreamed about, in the dream? You married Lu Jingyan. You were unhappy after marriage and cried every day. I watched you get thinner and thinner, and you even died in my arms. All of this now is fake. We didn't get married, we didn't meet again, and you and I. Yan-Fai's emotions were out of control. I was worried that the painful memories would resurface, so I quickly kissed him, gently soothing him. He held my waist and gradually calmed down. Yan-Fai, look at me. Who am I? Nan. Who is Nan to you? My wife. I smiled sweetly. That's right, your wife, Mrs. Yan-Fai. Perhaps my laughter infected him. He suddenly seemed to snap out of his thoughts. Yan-Fai showed a relaxed and relieved smile. Yes, we're doing well now. He arrived in time during the day. Maybe he heard everything, but he didn't ask me about it. His worries seeped into his dreams, bringing back the past and disturbing his peace of mind. I held Yan-Fai's face, rubbed my nose against his, and said softly, dreams are the opposite. They're not real, you know. I'm right here with you, whether it's good or bad, life or death. We'll spend the rest of our lives together. We'll be very, very happy. With our hearts connected, we snuggled up and poured out our hearts to each other. The curtains were blown up by the night wind, and the moonlight outside streamed into the room. It was a full moon tonight. The silver moon hung in the sky, symbolizing perfection. How many years has it been? You still keep this? The sentimental handwriting from our youth and the bold, literary love words made me blush when I thought about them now. Since you happen to like him, if you agree, our parents will give their consent. Mom said your chopped pepper fish head is so delicious. She secretly asked me when I would bring you home again. I'm free these days. Well, if you're free, can you accompany me to look at wedding dresses? I want to have the wedding on the same day as my sister, okay? I'll make the arrangements. On our wedding day, I want a lot of roses, okay? I'll take care of that too. Yen Fi, I think I love you more and more. What a coincidence. I've always loved you. Story 2. I supported Joe Kabai for 7 years and loved him for just as long. Finally, he agreed to be with me, but later I discovered that he was in love with the girl he grew up with. He always resented me, feeling that I was trying to buy his affection and humiliating him with money. After 10 years of marriage, he was extremely cold to me and eventually moved out to start a new family with the girl, and there I was, left alone in an empty house, until I passed away in melancholy. Reborn, I went back to the day I decided to sponsor him. Joe Kabai's childhood friend threw herself on him and snapped at me excitedly. Do you think you're amazing just because you have money? We don't need it, I laughed. You're thinking too much. I'd rather burn this money than support you. Shin Nanji, you think you're great just because you have some money. We don't care. Watching Lin Chu clinging to Joe Kabai, I felt somewhat dazed, my gaze meeting Joe Kabai's. Joe Kabai, at 20, still had a youthful air about him, dressed in faded denim, yet, he was too striking, tall and well-proportioned with sharp features and eyes cold like stars, making even his simple clothes seem luxurious. I couldn't help but step back, stabilizing myself with the table behind me. How long had it been since I last saw Joe Kabai like this? 10 years, or 20, it had been too long. I couldn't even remember clearly. After all, that was all in my past life. Joe Kabai noticed me stepping back and paused slightly. Lin Chu was still babbling on, but I couldn't hear anything anymore. Everything before me was just like in my past life, back then. He refused my sponsorship, but I insisted on giving it. I had loved Joe Kabai for 7 years. I knew his family was poor. His father was a compulsive gambler who only came home drunk and violent after losing money, often beating him and his mother. Unable to bear the abuse, Joe's mother eventually took her own life. From a young age, Joe Kabai had to scavenge and do odd jobs. Besides relying on scholarships to attend school, we were never meant to cross paths. However, he was a brilliant student, so our private high school, aiming to boost its college admission rates, offered him a scholarship, and that's how we ended up at the same school. Back then, our circle was full of rich kids who didn't focus on studies and just idled their days away, waiting to go abroad for a degree and then take over their family businesses. Only Joe Kabai was different. He had clear goals, studied diligently in class, and worked part-time after school, though he had no money. He never felt ashamed, he was always proud and dignified. That's when I fell for him. I liked him, so I couldn't stand to see him suffer. Back then, young and naive, I always assumed that giving him everything I thought was good was the right thing to do. When he had to work late and couldn't eat breakfast in the morning, I brought him lunch from home. Joe Kabai, try the Wagyu beef my housekeeper makes, it's the best, and the foie gras, specially flown in by my dad, it's really good. Being an only child, spoiled since childhood, everyone doted on me, leaving me clueless. I wanted to give him the best of everything, but I completely overlooked whether he wanted it or not. Our classmates teased, Shin Nanji, what does he know about foie gras? Haha, he probably can't even afford chicken liver. I snapped at them, mind your own business. I didn't notice Joe Kabai's fingers whitening as he gripped the lunchbox tightly. He paused for a moment, then handed the lunchbox back to me, saying coldly, thanks for your kindness, but no thanks. Don't be like that, Joe Kabai. Some boys were making faces and teasing. If you get close to Shin Nanji, you wouldn't have to strive for anything else in your life. You better climb up that social ladder quickly. Yeah, then your dad could gamble as much as he wants without having to dip into your tuition money. Haha, everyone burst into laughter. I slammed the table. Shut up, all of you. The others stopped laughing. But Joe Kabai suddenly stood up and turned to leave. I chased after him, trying to give him his lunchbox. Joe Kabai, don't listen to their nonsense. Eat your meal, or you won't make it through your part-time job tonight. He stopped and turned around sharply. I was stunned. His eyes were filled with pure loathing and hatred. Young people tend to have a bad memory. I quickly forgot about that incident and continued to pester Joe Kabai, for his sake. I even started to study hard and ended up at the same university as him. My dad was so pleased that he doubled my allowance. Joe Kabai became busier in university. He didn't get the scholarship he applied for, and the subsidy for impoverished students was taken by a classmate with connections. At his lowest point, he could only afford a bun for meals and had to supplement it with free soup. I couldn't stand it and offered to help him financially, but he refused. He worked 3 jobs a day and eventually even fainted from exhaustion on the street. I couldn't stand it anymore, and insisted on giving him money. "Joe Kabai, why won't you accept my money? Why are you working yourself to death?" I went to his class advisor and forcefully paid his tuition. By then, I understood a bit about preserving his dignity, so, during meals, I always pulled him to join me, saying I couldn't finish my food alone. When going out, I would claim I had snagged some free tickets and invite him along. Gradually, Joe Kabai and I grew closer. I supported him until he graduated, and to make him happy, I even sponsored his childhood friend. After graduation, Joe Kabai started a business. He was always a top student and had developed a gaming app with friends, but struggled to find investors. Seeing him so disheartened, I simply asked my dad to invest in him. I remember that night, Joe Kabai was very quiet. As I leaned on his shoulder and was almost falling asleep, he finally spoke. "Shinanji, why are you doing this?" I thought he was going to ask why I was so good to him, so I confidently replied, "Because I like you." "Joe Kabai, do you like me?" I playfully tugged at his arm. "I've been so good to you, and if you don't get together with me, that's just heartless." I was joking at the time, but Joe Kabai didn't respond, and I took his silence as consent, and so, we got together. 2 years later, Joe Kabai and I got married. The wedding was simple. Joe Kabai didn't like big crowds, so we only invited a few close relatives and friends. They were all my relatives and friends. From his side, it was only him. Joe Kabai remained distant even after marriage. Back then, I was so naive. I thought that was just the way he was. After chasing him for so many years, I believed that as long as I continued to treat him well, even a heart of stone would eventually warm up, but I was wrong. His heart truly couldn't be warmed, because his heart was always with someone else. 3 years into our marriage, our differences became irreconcilable. I could no longer endure his persistent coldness day after day, and I confronted him, asking if he had feelings for his childhood friend. He just stared at me coldly, not saying a word. Pushed to the brink, he finally stormed out, slamming the door behind him. His emotional cruelty drove me increasingly into paranoia and madness. Every time he returned, I would interrogate him, insult him, and during our most heated arguments, I spoke without thinking. "If I had known you were such an ingrate, I would have been better off raising a dog. At least it would wag its tail at me." There was a fleeting fierceness in his expression, which quickly settled back into calm. From that day on, he never returned home. Later, I found out that he had already been with his childhood friend all along. They had started a new family together, and even had a child. Over those years, his family outside was complete and happy. Meanwhile, I was left alone, guarding a lonely home, where all my love turned into venom steeped in hatred. Joe Kabai became successful in his business, becoming even wealthier than my father. I had no way to get back at him. The only thing I had was my marriage. I gambled my life on revenge, refusing to divorce him no matter how much money he offered. He ruined me, and I wouldn't let him have an easy life either. The woman he loved would always just be a shameful mistress. His son with another woman would always just be an illegitimate child born from the shadows. Joe Kabai didn't dare sue me either. He feared that our marital disputes would blow up and affect his company's stock price, and the other directors wouldn't agree to it. So, we dragged it out for 10 years. Throughout those 10 years, no matter how hysterical or crazy I became, even when I eventually pleaded weakly, he never softened his heart, never once came back to see me. I faded day by day in utter despair, growing frail and eventually succumbing to a serious illness. I died in bitterness. Shinanji, I snapped back to reality. Looking over at Joe Kabai, a deep hatred surged from every part of my body, almost exploding my heart, nearly causing me to collapse. After I died, he finally got what he wanted. Perhaps, he treated me that way just to hasten my death. I remember before I died, my medication was suddenly switched. When I asked the butler, he only said it was switched to a gentler type. I didn't suspect a thing, but soon after taking the new medication, my health deteriorated rapidly, to the point where I couldn't even sit up. It didn't take long before I passed away. It must have been him. Who else could hate me so much, wishing for my immediate death? He wanted Lin Chu to take my place. How malicious. I looked at Joe Kabai, forcefully suppressing the urge to rush up and kill him. I was filled with such hatred. I believed that, except for my youthful ignorance and not respecting his pride enough, I had done nothing to wrong Joe Kabai. I even asked him if he was willing to marry me. I said if he wasn't ready, I could wait. But he still hated me like this. Lin Chu, just like in the past, yelled at me. Shinanji, Do you think you're so great just because you have money? What right do you have to insult people? I looked at her. She was in a white dress, delicate and fragile like a small white flower. This was the woman Zhou Kebai loved, the one he would kill for to elevate her status. In the past, Zhou Kebai and I were just talking normally. I told him that if he felt uncomfortable, he could repay me the tuition fees once he made money, considering it a loan from me. Yet Lin Chu suddenly accused me of using money to crush people, saying I insulted Zhou Kebai. Later, I gradually understood during my arguments with Zhou Kebai, he always felt that I was trying to buy him off with money, and that it insulted him. I suddenly found it quite ridiculous, seeing Lin Chu's protective nature. I smirked. You're thinking too much. If I had to burn this money, I still wouldn't fund you. Zhou Kebai's face turned pale. Lin Chu looked momentarily blank. What did you say? I smiled. Didn't you feel that my funding you was an insult? We are classmates. How could I insult you like that? Since that's the case, let's forget about it. You guys can continue to work part-time. Lin Chu's family situation was similar to Zhou Kebai's. Her father had run away with debts, and her mother worked multiple jobs to pay for her education, ultimately falling ill and now confined to bed at home. Perhaps because of their similar circumstances, she and Zhou Kebai were always close. Constantly by his side, she always insisted on joining us whenever Zhou Kebai and I went out. Sometimes I didn't want her to come, and she would hide behind him and ask me pitifully, Sister Nanji, do you dislike me because I'm poor, not wanting to be friends with me? Before I could even respond, Zhou Kebai would protectively stand in front of her and say sternly, if you think we're not good enough, then don't bother coming. I had no choice but to bring her along. She was there during meals. She would tilt her head and look at the lobster on the plate and say, do you eat this well every day? Then, with a tone of melancholy and envy, we really aren't from the same world, are we? Several times, Zhou Kebai and I were having a good conversation when she would suddenly drop such a comment, causing Zhou Kebai to lose his smile and stop talking to me. At first, I thought she was just being thoughtless, until one day, when I was walking with Zhou Kebai and turned around to say something to him, I caught the look she gave me. Lin Chu had a blank expression, but her eyes were swirling with malice and resentment. Seeing me turn around, she was caught off guard and quickly forced a smile. However, I felt a chill down my spine. That was when I finally realized she hated me, or rather, she despised me. Actually, when Zhou Kebai and I first got married, there was a brief period of harmony. At that time, his company was on the right track, and he had just secured his first contract. After the celebration party, he hugged me while he was tipsy and said with a laugh, wife, whatever you like, I'll buy it for you. Feeling sorry for his hard-earned money, I hugged him, contented. No need, I'm already happy that you have the thought. But he persisted, stubbornly saying, I earn money to spend on my wife. What bag do you like? I'll buy it for you. Even as he fell asleep, he was still murmuring, Nanji, I have money now, you don't have to suffer with me anymore. He indeed bought me a bag the next day, but before I could even speak, Lin Chu followed us. Seeing the bag in my hands, her expression suddenly became strange. Then she snatched the bag from my hands, laughing and saying to Zhou Kebai, ah, I remember Nanji's sister had this bag back in college. It was a gift from a boy who liked her back then. She even thought it was too cheap to carry around at that time. I had long forgotten whether this was true. However, Zhou Kebai's expression immediately turned ugly. Then he took the bag, left the house expressionless. After that, he began to grow cold towards me, and the next time I saw that bag, it was already on Lin Chu's shoulders. With a smirk on her lips, she nonchalantly said, Sister Nanji, Kebai gave me this bag, you won't be mad, right? Of course, I wasn't willing to let it go. She looked panicked and with teary eyes, she asked me, why do you have to fight me for this one when you already have so many bags? You already have so many. I only have this one. Zhou Kebai pulled me away with a stern face. If you don't care about it, why argue with her? Or do you just enjoy fighting for things? At that moment, my pride was wounded, and I couldn't stand this humiliation. We ended up having a big fight and parted on bad terms. Later, I realized, what Lin Chu was talking about wasn't the bag. She was clearly talking about Zhou Kebai. She thought I had stolen him from her, and that's why she hated me. Shin Nanji, Zhou Kebai suddenly grabbed me in a panic. Wait a moment, I turned around, but froze for a second when I saw his expression. There was a turbulent flow of emotions in his eyes, as if something was about to burst forth. Even his voice was trembling. No, it shouldn't be like this. Shin Nanji, why won't you support me anymore? don't you like me? His craziness startled me. What's wrong with Zhou Kebai? Has he lost his mind? Or is he angry about the way I spoke to Lin Chu? In my previous life, at this time, I hadn't even won him over yet. And he was always very cold and stern towards me. Is he having some kind of episode? I tried to pull my hand back, let go, but he held on even tighter, his eyes even starting to redden. Shen Nanji, don't you like me anymore? Don't you want me anymore? This really scared me. When had Zhou Kebai ever said such things to me? I stared at him wide-eyed. Zhou Kebai, have you taken the wrong medicine? Or are you possessed? He didn't speak, just stared straight at me, his expression obsessive and crazed. This provoked my anger. He treated me like that in my past life. And now he dares to glare at me. You think my supporting you is an insult, Zhou Kebai? Or do you just want to shamelessly beg me to support you? Lin Chu opened her mouth, seemingly surprised to hear me speak to Zhou Kebai like this. Indeed, in my past life, this was the time when I loved him the most. Every word I spoke was cautious, fearing I might hurt his pride, but now, I don't care anymore. Zhou Kebai, what are you even worth? I said disdainfully, heartless and ungrateful. I really wonder how I could have ever liked someone like him. Zhou Kebai, surprisingly, didn't get angry. His face turned completely pale. I shook off his hand and left without looking back. The card I gave Zhou Kebai had 200,000 on it, enough to cover his tuition and living expenses. I went straight to the mall with the card. Giving him the money still caused issues. I might as well buy a few more bags. Besides that one bag in my past life, Zhou Kebai never gave me anything else. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, he never remembered, or perhaps he just didn't care. But Lin Chu turned into a rich lady. She used Zhou Kebai's money to shop everywhere, spending tens of thousands on bags, watches, and clothes. Each time she bought something, she'd flaunt it in front of me. Sister Nanji, this is what Kebai specially brought me from Paris. What did he bring you? Nothing. She covered her mouth and giggled. He didn't bring you anything, did he? Then I would end up fighting with Zhou Kebai, making our relationship even worse. Now that I think about it, being so rich, why should I covet things bought by a man? I can buy whatever I want by myself. With this 200,000, I bought 4 bags and added another 100,000. On the way back to school, perhaps it was fate, but as soon as I got out of the car, I saw Lin Chu and Zhou Kebai. She saw the luxury brand bags in my hands and her eyes changed immediately. Barely concealing her sourness and jealousy, at that time, Zhou Kebai was still penniless, and she was too, wearing a white dress that had become frayed from too much washing. Despite her efforts to trim loose threads and iron it flat, one glance was enough to tell it was a cheap item from a street stall. Nanji sister, you really are rich. I noticed how quickly Lin Chu could change her face. Just a moment ago, she was calling me Shen Nanji, scolding me for thinking I was something special just because I had some money, and now she was calling me Nanji sister. Her gaze fixated on the Chanel bag in my hand, her fingers clenched tightly. A Chanel bag, must be expensive, right? One could cover our tuition for several years, she whispered to Zhou Kebai, insinuating something as she stood beside him. We really aren't from the same world. I used to defend myself when she made such remarks, but I'm not eloquent, and the more I spoke, the more upset Zhou Kebai would get. Now, to hell with it, I smiled slightly. Looks like you're not only poor, but slow too. Only realizing it now. I live in a 300 square meter apartment in the city center, and you live in a tiny 30 square meter place at the outskirts. Of course, we're not from the same world. Lin Chu's face turned pale, her features momentarily contorted. I walked over and said deliberately, Lin Chu, you will never be from my world, just be jealous to death, Kebai. She quickly recovered and tried to play the victim with Zhou Kebai. I scoffed. What else can you do besides hiding behind a man, like a bug in a gutter? You don't need to look for Zhou Kebai, you two are equally disgusting. That day, after scolding the disgraceful couple, I happily went home. It's not that I didn't want to take revenge on them, I always remembered how they drugged me in my past life, but, firstly, the drugging hadn't happened yet this lifetime, so I had no evidence. Secondly, I didn't want to waste my life on such trash anymore. I suffered enough in my past life. This lifetime, I want to stay away from this disgraceful couple. Whether they fare well or not, it no longer concerns me. I want a fresh start in this new life. However, I wanted to distance myself from them, but they clung on like bad spirits. A few days later, a friend approached me, taking delight in their misfortune. You didn't give Zhou Kebai and Lin Chu any money, now they're in a dire state, struggling to pay their tuition. I heard Zhou Kebai is frantically working multiple jobs. Lin Chu even tried to buy a new dress the other day, but couldn't scrape together even 80 yuan after using WeChat, Alipay, and her cards. She had to sell the iPhone you bought for her just to barely cover the tuition. I took a moment to recall that in my previous life, after seeing Zhou Kebai's old phone, I bought him the latest iPhone, yet, the next day I saw that phone in Lin Chu's hands. I lowered my gaze and said sarcastically, "Is that so? They really are quite poor." But before I could walk away, Lin Chu blocked my path. Frantic, she grabbed me and said angrily, "Shen Nanji, why aren't you sponsoring Kebai anymore? Do you know he's the top student in his major? If his studies are disrupted by tuition fees, can you bear the responsibility?" I was taken aback at first, then nearly laughed out loud. In my past life, I eventually understood what kind of people they really were. They wanted others' money but couldn't swallow their pride, cursing while eating from the same plate, utterly shameless to the extreme. What does his being first have to do with me? I spread my hands. I'm not his father. How can you say that? Surrounding students who knew us gathered around, and Lin Chu became even more agitated, even managing to squeeze out some tears. She presented herself as an innocent flower who wouldn't bow down to dark forces. You could cover our tuition for several years with just one of your bags. What's wrong with sponsoring us? Or are you just that selfish, preferring to waste money rather than help those in need? She probably thought everyone was like Zhou Kebai, easily brainwashed by her shameless rhetoric. Before I could respond, my friend, who came from a similar background as mine but had a much fiercer temper, spoke up coldly to Lin Chu. Which mental hospital left their doors open and let you out? If you're so desperate for money, why don't you beg or even sell yourself? Though you're not the prettiest, someone would surely take you up on an offer of 80 per time. 10 times that's 800, 100 times and there's your tuition. You have arms, legs, a back, reproductive organs. Why must you shamelessly beg others for money? Do they owe you a living? Lin Chu usually played the innocent girl role and was not used to being confronted so bluntly and aggressively. She was stunned into silence. Other classmates began to chime in. Yeah, if you're short on money, you could apply for a scholarship instead of begging with such a poor attitude. Shameless, just like that. No wonder you're broke. Lin Chu took a step back, her eyes wide in disbelief. I smirked. I often treated my classmates to milk tea and was willing to pay for meals, so naturally, they sided with me. Now that I think about it, besides Zhou Kebai, what does Lin Chu have? She could never surpass me. If it weren't for my past life obsession with Zhou Kebai, someone like her wouldn't even appear in my life. Just then, Zhou Kebai suddenly showed up. Kebai, Lin Chu, seeing her savior, leaned towards him, her eyes brimming with tears. I just asked Shen Nanji to sponsor you a bit. She can afford so many bags but wouldn't sponsor you. I don't know what I did to offend her. She was so rude to me. Nanji, sister. She quickly changed her tune, tears welling up. I know you looked down on me, but I did it all for Kubai's sake. He's so talented. I was extremely annoyed. Lin Chu was like a toad jumping at your feet, not biting, but disgustingly bothersome. The worst part was, she was like a bad penny, always turning up. Zhou Kebai slightly frowned. You yelled at her. I couldn't help but let out a sarcastic laugh. Typical. He was always like this. Whenever Lin Chu played the victim, he would scold me without knowing the whole story. In the past, I would get angry and upset, argue with him and then go back to my room to cry secretly, but not anymore. I looked up at Zhou Kebai. Yes, she's right. I did yell at her, unexpectedly. Zhou Kebai wasn't angry. He lowered his head, his tone soft and almost pleading. Then she must have done something wrong to make you angry. Then, he turned to Lin Chu and said indifferently, Nanji is reasonable, you should apologize to her. I was utterly dumbfounded, almost thinking I was still dreaming. Lin Chu was also shocked, her lips trembling after a long while. Kebai, what did you say? Zhou Kebai's expression cooled. I told you to apologize. Lin Chu's eyes reddened, and she stepped back in disbelief. She clenched her teeth, her voice breaking. How could you do this? I was just as bewildered. Zhou Kebai actually demanded his darling Lin Chu apologize to me. Had he lost his mind? A fleeting thought crossed my mind. Could it be that he had also been reborn? However, I quickly dismissed the thought. Impossible. In my previous life, Zhou Kebai hated me so much that he even poisoned me to death. If he were reborn, he would definitely stay as far away from me as possible right from the start. He must be plotting something else. I distanced myself and watched him warily. Zhou Kebai seemed as if he had been stabbed by my gaze, looking at me with hurt. Nanji, I know I was wrong before, can you forgive me? Don't you like me? Can't we be together? I will make up for all I owe you. The more he spoke, the more agitated he became. By the end, he was staring intently at me, as if looking at a treasure he had regained, his voice choking up. This was absurd. I couldn't help but clench my fists. In my last life, I had pursued him desperately, sacrificing a lifetime, all for such a statement from him. Regrettably, until my death, I never heard him say he liked me. Now in this life, when I finally insulted and shamed him as he said, he finally confessed his feelings for me. What, then, was the worth of my sacrifices in my previous life? I pulled up a mocking smile at the corner of my mouth and said disdainfully, be with me. Zhou Kebai, what are you to think you can be with me? A single piece of clothing on me is worth 3 years of your salary. You are too full of yourself. What makes you think you can be with me? He thought I was insulting him. Then let him feel what real humiliation is. Sure enough, Zhou Kebai's face turned pale. He said urgently, I don't have money now, but can you wait for me? I will be wealthy in the future. He wasn't wrong about that. He would indeed become quite wealthy later. But what did that have to do with me? The hate and disgust in my heart were almost overwhelming. Looking at him with contempt, I said, Zhou Kebai, even if every man in the world were dead, I would never be with you. That day after I left, Zhou Kebai watched me go, looking utterly lost. He appeared pitiful, his shoulders seeming to collapse, standing there as if his soul had been taken away. I only had a cold laugh in my heart. I didn't know what Zhou Kebai was thinking, whether he had an epiphany or his mind was broken. The Shen Nanji who loved him tirelessly had died in the last life. In this life, I only felt hatred towards him. Without my support, Zhou Kebai and Lin Chu had an even worse life this time than in the last. Zhou Kebai's program didn't sell, and his attempt at starting a business failed. I heard they were so poor now they were nearly selling their blood, but that is no longer my concern. The next morning, my phone rang. I picked it up, and the screen displayed a name, Chen Luo. This was a friend from the past. I felt a bit dazed. For me, it had been years since I last saw these names. When I was with Zhou Kebai, he didn't like my friends from wealthy families and always forbade me from associating with them. Gradually, I also lost touch with them. This Chen Luo was the one Lin Chu mentioned who gave me the bag. Our families had been friends for generations and had a good relationship. Picking up the phone, his excited voice came through. Nanji, I heard you scolded that kid Zhou Kebai. Before I could speak, he excitedly said, it's about time you showed him some colors. That idiot was freeloading and manipulating you. We didn't dare say it before, but damn, you finally cleared your mind. I slightly smiled. What's up? Party tonight. The usual place, 8 o'clock. After hanging up the phone, I spent a long time recalling that the old place referred to a bar we used to frequent. My childhood friends and I often hung out there. However, ever since I started dating Zhou Kebai, I rarely went out. I used to be quite the free spirit, but for love, I completely softened my edges. I stopped frequenting malls and learned to explore street stalls and markets instead. I stopped wearing luxury brands, carefully choosing inexpensive clothes just so Zhou Kebai wouldn't frown when he stood beside me. I dared not dine at the restaurants I used to love. Occasionally, I'd only go out to eat siomai at a local snack bar with him. I turned myself into someone timid and cautious, all in hopes that he might like me more. I loved him with all my heart. That evening at the bar, Chen Luo was really happy and kept urging me to drink. I didn't refuse, relishing the long-missed relaxation. Chen Luo, especially, had always been a good friend. When he got married, he even told me to come to him if I ever felt wronged, promising to set Zhou Kebai straight for me. He actually confronted Zhou Kebai later on. I was pregnant at that time, a surprise from one of Zhou's drunken nights. I was overjoyed, thinking that having this child might win back his affection. But then Lin Chu found out I was pregnant. She deliberately came to provoke me. And just when I couldn't take it anymore and wanted to lash out at her, Zhou Kebai came home. He grabbed my wrist and pushed me away instinctively. I fell, hitting my stomach against the corner of a table and started bleeding. I was rushed to the hospital. Back then, I was young and strong, not yet worn out like later on, and thankfully, the baby survived. But Lin Chu was relentless, berating me daily at home and even calling in the middle of the night to let me hear her intimate moments with Zhou Kebai. He would pant and whisper to her, relax. My stomach churned. I ran to the bathroom and vomited until I was dizzy and shaking from cold. Looking up, The woman in the mirror was so pale she looked like she could collapse any moment, her eyes lifeless and bloodshot, tears streaming down her face. That day, I lost the child. The doctor advised me to rest and avoid emotional stress, but I couldn't control myself. After the child was lost, Zhou Kebai was silent for a long time before finally saying, "There will be other children, but I never had another child." He and Lin Chu did, though. They looked like a happy family. Chen Luo, knowing all this, beat Zhou Kebai up so badly one day. If I hadn't pulled him away, he might have killed him. Holding him back, his eyes red, he yelled at Zhou Kebai, "What did you promise when you got married? How could you treat her like this when she used to be so joyful?" Zhou Kebai didn't fight back that time. He just wiped the blood from his lips and stayed silent. "What are you thinking about?" Chen Luo nudged me. "Drink up." I clinked glasses with him and drank it all in one go. After several rounds, Chen Luo, his face flushed, leaned in and whispered, "Do you really not like Zhou Kebai anymore?" I looked at him. He immediately averted his gaze, his ears turning pink. I couldn't help but smile a little. Chen Luo liked me. I knew it. In my past life, my eyes were only for Zhou Kebai, and I even fell out with Chen Luo because of him. But whenever Zhou Kebai treated me poorly, Chen Luo was always there to stand up for me. If I were to choose someone this lifetime, I would hope for someone like him. It's only now that I've come to understand that sometimes love can't solve all problems. Zhou Kebai and I grew up under very different circumstances with different educations and backgrounds. Our families were mismatched. He grew up in a family environment that made him defensive and sensitive, sharp yet indifferent due to his insecurities. As for me, I was doted on from a young age, my family's support giving me the boldness to love someone unconditionally, which ironically also paved the way for my tragedy. I thought love alone was enough to sustain us, but I didn't realize that for someone like Zhou Kebai, mere passion couldn't thaw his frost. I nodded in agreement. Yes, I was blind before. Chen Luo bowed his head, leaned closer, and whispered, "Then look at me." Before he could finish, someone abruptly grabbed my wrist and yanked me up. Startled, I turned around only to face Zhou Kebai's frightful and grim expression, his eyes downcast, his body tensed, his calm voice suppressed emotions I couldn't understand. "Come with me." I was almost dragged out the door by him. "Let go." I pushed him away forcefully. "Are you sick?" But Zhou Kebai gripped me tightly, his strength terrifying. Ever since his rebirth, he had always been almost obsequiously gentle towards me. Now, his eyes darkened, his face expressionless, which was quite frightening. His voice hoarse, he asked, "Shen Nanji, what did you just say?" I paused, then gritted my teeth. "I said I don't like you anymore. I was blind before. You don't like me anymore." Zhou Kebai let out a bizarre laugh, then he pulled me close, staring intently at me, his voice cold as ice. "Say it again." For a moment, his intensity frightened me. "The things you said before about liking me, wanting to be with me, that you'd never leave me, were they all lies?" His expression was manic. I froze. No, I hadn't said those things in this lifetime. Those were words I had spoken before marrying him in my past life. I began to tremble uncontrollably. How could he know? Zhou Kebai quickly realized his mistake and involuntarily stepped back. I whispered, "Zhou Kebai, you've come back too, haven't you?" He remained silent. The midnight wind howled, dragging fallen leaves across the ground, carrying a desolate air. Occasionally, a car would pass by, its lights flickering momentarily before fading into the darkness. "Zhou Kebai." I forced a grim smile. "How dare you?" He had indeed also returned from the dead. How dare he say such things to me in this life after how he treated me in the last? In my past life, I said and did those things, but what was the result? I died with my eyes still open. This life, I finally wanted to move on and live well, but he reopened my wounds, tauntingly reminding me that I could never escape those tragic days. Zhou Kebai was slightly panicked. "Nanji, listen to me explain. I have also come back, but I've realized something. I was a bastard in my previous life. I didn't realize I had fallen in love with you. Let me make it up to you. Please." Slap. Zhou Kebai turned his head. I spoke deliberately. "Zhou Kebai, how dare you? How dare he trivially tell me he had loved me all along after such deep wounds he inflicted?" That slap released all the hatred in my heart. With full force, his lips split, oozing blood, but he casually wiped it away, his tone calm. "Is that enough? If not," he grabbed my hand and pressed it against his face, "hit me a few more times." Though his words were harsh, his eyes suddenly reddened, and tears fell straight down. I was taken aback. Zhou Kebai had never cried in front of me before, during the toughest times in his previous life. when his father had gambled away the tuition he had painstakingly saved and even beat him up upon returning home. Zhou Kebai didn't cry even as he went to school the next day covered in bruises. He didn't cry even when he was working 3 jobs a day, starving and fainting from exhaustion. I had once thought him to be heartless by nature, yet, unexpectedly, he shed tears in front of me. Zhou Kebai's tears mixed with the blood at the corner of his mouth, his entire appearance so ragged it seemed he couldn't contain it anymore. His body hunched as he pleaded, "Shenanzi, please come back. If you hate me, you can even kill me. Just, please don't leave me. I was nearly driven insane." "Zhou Kebai, have you lost your mind? What's wrong with you?" He lowered his head, his voice trembling. "I was too insecure, always on guard, thinking everyone was out to hurt me. I was afraid to like you and to believe that you really liked me. I feared that after I joyfully accepted you, you would suddenly tell me one day that I wasn't good enough for you, that it was all just a game." "Shenanzi, I was a fool. It's my fault. You can hit me, yell at me. It doesn't matter. I'm just begging you to come back," he cried as if releasing all the pent-up emotions. "You have no idea what I went through the years after you left." I couldn't hold back anymore and scoffed coldly. "Zhou Kebai, wasn't it Lin Chu you loved, in our past life? Didn't you poison me to death for her?" "Poison?" Zhou Kebai paused. "What poison? You're pretending you don't know." I gripped the roadside railing tightly, otherwise I couldn't guarantee I wouldn't slap him again. The medication I was taking later got switched. Initially, my health was improving, but the more I took the altered medication, the worse my condition became, until finally, I bit down hard on my tongue. Bitterness spreading through my mouth. The man I loved had killed me for another woman. Even just repeating it was excruciating. "I didn't," Zhou Kebai said urgently. "I never did. I even told the butler to take good care of you. How could I possibly kill you?" Our eyes met, and we both saw the realization in each other's eyes. If it wasn't him, then it was the only other person who had access, the butler, or someone else who wished me dead. It was only Lin Chu left, so. It was Lin Chu who had killed me. I felt a mix of emotions, yet it wasn't hard to accept. I was already dead. Did it matter who killed me? Even if it wasn't Zhou Kebai, Lin Chu had killed me for him. He was not blameless. I felt disillusioned, a weary fatigue spreading through my body. Love or hate, I was truly tired. This life, all I wanted was to stay far away from him and live well. A sudden autumn rain began, pouring down heavily, as Zhou Kebai stood drenched in the rain. His face indistinguishable between rain and tears. "Shenanzi, I'm begging you, what about Lin Chu?" I asked expressionlessly. "You had a child together in your past life. What about that?" Zhou Kebai was at a loss for words. After a long while, he said awkwardly, "She got me drunk, and it only happened that one time." I pulled out a mocking smile, saying nothing. Zhou Kebai hung his head even lower. "From the beginning to the end, the only one I loved was you. I never liked Lin Chu," he continued. Just then, a woman's voice suddenly rose from the darkness of the street. "What am I then?" Lin Chu emerged from the shadows. She was still wearing that old white dress, soaked and clinging tightly to her body due to the rain. "Zhou Kebai," she said, devoid of expression, yet her eyes flickered with madness. "You like her. So what am I? All these years I've been by your side. What does that make me?" Zhou Kebai clenched his fists tightly. His gaze towards her no longer held its usual tenderness, just loathing. Lin Chu seemed unchanged, still the Lin Chu from her past life. "She hasn't poisoned me now. I have no place to seek revenge." Zhou Kebai understood and said nothing. Lin Chu paused. "You hate me, Zhou Kebai, you actually hate me. If you hadn't always been stirring up trouble between me and Nanji, we wouldn't have ended up like this," he said coldly. "I stirred things up," Lin Chu laughed. "Zhou Kebai." She dropped all pretense. "If it wasn't for your inferiority complex and arrogance, how could I have influenced you? It's your own dark psyche, desiring her yet fearful, and now you're pushing all the blame onto me." Zhou Kebai's forehead throbbed with veins. "Shenanji," Lin Chu tilted her head, her expression naively puzzled, as though she was asking an insignificant question. "You already have everything. Why do you have to compete with me for Zhou Kebai?" She didn't seem to need my response, continuing on her own. "You come from a good background, you look good, everyone surrounds you, loves you, dotes on you. They would bring what you want right to you. You don't even need to ask. With so many people liking you, why do you still have to compete with me for Zhou Kebai?" Her voice carried a tremor of clenched teeth. "I only have him. Why do you have to take him away? You already have so much." I calmly said, "Zhou Kebai is a person Whom he likes is his choice, I can't force him, and besides, I've never won, I've lost utterly. Is that so? Lin Chu approached me, and only then did I notice she had been hiding one hand behind her back. A foreboding feeling suddenly surfaced, and just as I was about to step back, she fiercely pulled out a dagger and lunged at me. You go die. Her face twisted, her expression crazed. As long as you're dead, Zhou Kebai will still be mine. Shen Nanji, why do you deserve to be so happy? You deserve to die. She was too close, I couldn't dodge in time, and my dilated pupils reflected her bloodshot eyes. Just then, a strong force suddenly pushed me away. The sound of the blade piercing flesh was muffled by the rain, and Lin Chu, looking at Zhou Kebai in front of her, froze. Her fingers gripping the dagger began to tremble. Panicked, she said, Kebai. I staggered back. The knife had already deeply penetrated Zhou Kebai's abdomen. The blood seeping out was washed into a pale pink by the rain. He seemed not to notice, only smiling at me. You're all right, that's good. By the time he was taken to the hospital, Zhou Kebai had already completely passed out. He had lost too much blood and was taken directly to the ICU for emergency treatment. Lin Chu was also taken away by the police who arrived at the scene. It wasn't until the third day that Zhou Kebai finally woke up. I walked into the hospital room, looking at him, feeling as though I had a lot to say but unable to utter a single word. He looked very weak, his face as pale as paper. Despite struggling, he managed to muster a faint smile. Shen Nanji, you're all right. My emotions were mixed. Why did you take that stab for me? His eyelashes drooped. I don't know. I just didn't want you to get hurt. The knife Lin Chu wielded was aimed at my heart. Fortunately, Zhou Kebai was tall enough that it didn't hit any vital spots. What do you plan to do? I suddenly asked. Zhou Kebai quickly grasped my meaning and replied with a bitter smile. Do what needs to be done, tell the truth. But that was your wife from your past life, the mother of your children, I said, sitting down on another bed. He whispered, but she tried to kill you. I fell silent. Zhou Kebai coughed a few times, pain momentarily distorting his features. Then, with a hoarse voice, he said, Shen Nanji, I truly realize my mistakes. I was terribly wrong before. If I can say, his voice choked up, his lips trembling uncontrollably, if I can change, would you? I wouldn't. I cut him off. You did save me, but in our past life, I died because of you. We're even at best. Even if you took a knife for me, it doesn't erase the harm you once did. Tears welled in his eyes as he clenched his teeth to hold back his sobs. But Shen Nanji, you once said you'd always love me. I suddenly felt weary, managing a painful smile. Zhou Kebai, love can run out. You spent 10 years wearing mine down bit by bit. Zhou Kebai turned a ghastly pale, his expression lost. Shen Nanji, you can't do this. You were the one who said you loved me first. Before I turned to leave, I glanced back one last time. Zhou Kebai had lost a lot of weight, his hospital gown hanging loosely on him. His eyes were still those of the boy I once loved, but his soul had aged. We might have loved each other, just at the wrong time, but now, I said softly, Zhou Kebai, I truly don't love you anymore. As I walked out of the hospital room, I could still hear his cries of despair. But Shen Nanji, what am I supposed to do? Did I come back to this life just to hear you say you don't love me anymore? I might as well have died in my past life. I bowed my head, my eyes dry. I couldn't cry anymore, because I had already cried out all my tears in my past life. I walked away briskly, leaving the cries behind. Eventually, they faded away. Zhou Kebai did not protect Lin Chu. She was sentenced to 7 years in prison for attempted murder and was expelled from school. I heard her mother couldn't handle the shock and committed suicide by jumping off a building. I didn't attend the court hearing. I somewhat understood why Lin Chu hated me so much. It was less about Zhou Kebai and more about jealousy, jealous of everything I had. She tried everything to take Zhou Kebai from me, to prove she could win over me. Upon realizing she had lost Zhou Kebai too, she completely lost her mind. I heard she went insane after learning of her mother's death, becoming delirious and even cursing the judge during her sentencing. Of course, I had someone deliver the news of her mother's death to her. I also asked my father to ensure she was well looked after in prison. I always remembered the incident from our past life where she drugged me. She ultimately had to pay back what she owed me. 3 years later, I married Chen Luo. Chen Luo's family placed great importance on the wedding, hosting a grand banquet with many prominent guests from the city. The scene was extremely solemn. Just as the two of us were about to go on stage, his secretary hurried over with a red envelope in hand. There was nothing written on it. President Chen, take a look at this red envelope. There's a check for 2 million inside. I verified that it's real, but it's anonymous, she said. He frowned and asked, what should we do? Chen Luo and I exchanged glances, both guessing who it might be from. Zhou Kebai was indeed capable. Even though his first venture had failed, he quickly started over and eventually succeeded. He chuckled, well, if someone is eager to give us money, let's accept it. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. It was a text message, from an unknown number. It read only one line, if he doesn't treat you well, come back to me, I'll wait for you forever. Chen Luo scoffed, let him wait then, he'll be waiting for his next life. In front of him, I deleted the message and immediately blocked the number. Let's go, I said with a slight smile as I took his arm. Everyone is waiting for us. The sorrowful, tearful nights will eventually pass, and I will never look back. From Zhou Kebai's perspective, when I saw Shen Nanji again, I was stunned. There she was, 20 years old, her face full of vitality, so vibrant and unlike the gloomy figure I remembered. It had been so long since I last saw her. I couldn't take my eyes off her, greedily staring at her. It had been a very long time since I last saw Shen Nanji. When the butler told me in my previous life that she had died, I didn't believe it, not until I went back and saw her cold body. Strangely, at that moment, I felt nothing at all. Everything around me disappeared. For a few seconds, I couldn't see or hear anything. Only when they hurriedly helped me up did I realize I had actually fallen. I calmly asked the butler, did she leave any message? The butler shook his head. The lady said nothing. Oh, so she left me not a single word. Well, everything that needed to be said had been said between us. When she loved me in our youth, she spoke all sorts of sweet nothings. Later, when we turned against each other, we dragged out each other's deepest hurts and lashed out until nothing was left. She cursed me to a bad death, and I cursed her for demeaning herself. What more was there to say, good or bad? Everything that could be said had been said. It was then that I suddenly felt a dull pain in my heart. The pain started off fine and not very sharp, but soon it viciously spread everywhere, as if my heart was being perforated, forcing me to kneel in agony. I looked at Shen Nanji. She lay quietly on the bed, unresponsive. If it had been before, even in our fiercest arguments, she would have cared for me. She was always so foolish, but this time, she wouldn't even spare me a glance. Of course, she was dead, completely dead. She would never appear before me again. Thinking this, I wasn't sad. I felt as if I was contemplating someone else's problem. My body and brain had become someone else's, separated from my own aching heart. What to do? Such a hassle. I thought, I have a meeting tomorrow. Now it will be delayed. After all, I have to arrange her funeral. Suddenly, my throat felt itchy. I coughed a few times, and saw the butler's alarmed eyes. He said in a panic, sir. I looked down and saw specks of bright red on my chest. Whose blood is this? I wondered. Then the itch in my throat became unbearable, and I suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The butler was frantic, urging me to go to the hospital. And the only thought left in my mind was, oh, so this is my blood, after Shen Nanji died. I did not shed a tear. I even went home to pack up some things. Her possessions were few, although she used to love luxury. Now the house was empty. Even her clothes were just a few no-name brands. That's good, I thought. After being entangled for so long, it could finally end. It was not until I opened the closet and saw a shelf full of medicinal oils. I had been in a car accident while delivering takeout in the past, and my leg had been injured. Every rainy, overcast day brings excruciating pain. This medicinal oil was specially made for her by someone she sought out. At the time, I even teased her about buying so much. Her eyes sparkled as she laughed and replied, what if I can't get it anymore in the future? Regrettably, after getting married, I seldom went home, and whenever I did, it usually ended in arguments. I only used the medicinal oil a few times, not even half a bottle. It was then I suddenly remembered that we did have good times too. I once thought she was adorable, but amidst the endless bickering and conflicts, all that remained were detestable visages. Suddenly, I felt a warm dampness on my face. I reached up to touch it. Unbeknownst to me, tears had already covered my face. After Shen Nanji's death, I didn't forget her as quickly as I thought I would. Instead, she appeared in my dreams night after night, as if deliberately tormenting me. Sometimes, it was back when we were young. Her face flushed as she handed me a lunchbox. Zhou Kebai. This is Wagyu beef made by my family's cook. It's the best. Strange. Back then, I only saw her as arrogant and prideful, and I was full of annoyance. Now, I suddenly realize her blushing face was actually quite adorable. Only later did I learn that the Wagyu beef dish was her favorite. She wanted to share her favorite thing with me, with genuine and unrestricted sincerity, but at that time, I truly didn't deserve such precious affection. A young man's insecure heart was too sensitive, raising spikes all over, wounding anyone who tried to get close. Shinanji had a good family and was beautiful, with many admirers. I couldn't believe that she would like someone worthless like me. Rich people have too many tricks. She must have been playing with me, so I treated her worse and worse. I wanted her to leave. She was a rare species never seen in my barren, dark world, disrupting my entire ecosystem, leaving me helpless. But I also wanted to despicably confirm her love for me over and over as she refused to back down. How sad, and how despicable. After we got married, our relationship seemed to improve slightly, but Lin Chu kept reminding me that she and I would never be from the same world. She was right. The first time I got some money and excitedly bought her a bag, it turned out to be an out-of-season model long since given by one of her college suitors. What did I have that was worth her liking? At that time, I didn't understand my own feelings. I thought I truly despised her, but I couldn't help but get close to her. I kept showing up in front of her with Lin Chu, sickly savoring the trace of affection from seeing her hurt expression. See, she cared about me. Later, she changed in my dreams. She lay in a hospital bed, holding a child whose face I couldn't see, crying desperately. She said, "Zhou Kabai, give me back my child." Then I would suddenly wake up, unable to sleep at night, day after day, sometimes happy, sometimes scared. I had to seek a master. I asked the master, "Master, does she have some unresolved attachment? Should I perform a ritual to liberate her?" The master looked at me for a long time and sighed. "My friend," he said with his hands together in a gesture of compassion, "it's not her who can't let go." That day I sat on the mountain for a long time before I understood. It was me who couldn't let go. It turns out, I had fallen in love with her long ago. 3 years after Shinanji's death, I began to lose my mind gradually. I ignored Lin Chu and the child completely, responding coldly when she went mad. "It was you who insisted on having this child. It has nothing to do with me." On Shinanji's birthday, I mixed alcohol with 2 bottles of sleeping pills. To make sure it was thorough, I also slashed my wrists. The unbearable pain gradually numbed. Suddenly, a breeze brushed past me. The sunlight was warm, and the chirping of birds echoed in my ears. Suddenly, my hand was gently grasped. Turning my head, I saw the smiling face of the 20-year-old Shinanji. "Zhou Kabai," she chided with a smile, "why did you take so long to come?" I looked at her for a long time, my vision blurring with warm moisture. Then, I slowly turned around and hugged her. Tighter and tighter. She was startled by me and pushed me away, saying, "What are you doing? You hurt me." Then she hugged me again and chuckled, "What's gotten into you? Did you miss me?" My voice was choked with tears. "Yes, Shinanji, I missed you so much. If only we could stay in that moment forever, it would be better than hearing her say she doesn't love me anymore." It was then I realized that the pain of 1,000 arrows piercing my heart was nothing compared to this. I lay on the bed, crying my heart out. If that's the case, why did she have me come back? I thought I could win her back, reverse our tragedy, but instead, I completely lost her. My heart ached so much that I couldn't breathe. I was crying and laughing at the same time. I thought I was going insane, yet, I felt more lucid than ever. I finally understood clearly. It turns out, my rebirth was just to atone. It was to experience all the suffering she endured. Once again, death isn't the true departure. Now, she has truly and completely left me, and the rest of my life will be spent in this endless despair, unable to escape.